right, welcome. So we're going to be exploring foundations for sexual wellness. I'm Sheila Kamara Hay, the sexual wellness coach here at TārāMD. So what are we going to cover in our time together? Well, first of all, what is sexual wellness? We're going to talk about what that is. What does taking a sexual wellness journey look like? We're going to try a practice together so you get a felt experience of what a practice is like in a journey. And we're going to talk about the benefits of taking this type of journey beyond the bedroom and why this is really a foundational pillar in women's health. To begin, I want to just tell you a little bit about me. Why are you listening to me? Why am I here? Why am I working at TārāMD as a sexual wellness coach? So my background is I am a VITA certified female sexuality and empowerment coach, and I also have a certification in working with the jade egg, which for those of you that aren't familiar with the jade egg, it's a Taoist sexual wellness lineage that also works with a crystal egg to help build pelvic floor strength, dexterity, build sensation and pleasure. So I have been working primarily in the field of childbirth for the past 15 years. I'm the founder of a movement called Ecstatic Birth, and it's exactly as it sounds. It's birthing with pleasure. How do you fuse the realms of pleasure and sexuality? Because of course we birth with our sexual bodies. Why this is relevant to you, even if you're not pregnant, is I've been working with women at all ages and stages to integrate and to really take what I call a sensual expansion journey, which is really learning to feel more pleasure. Some of these women are working on fertility. Some of these women are pregnant and giving birth, but a whole lot of these women are actually working in the birthing field as a support team. So I've worked with women, as young as in their 20s, all the way through to their 80s. And one of the things that I found consistently is starting to take a sexual wellness journey really supports you at every age and every stage. And I'll talk about that more, but I wanted you to have kind of that context of where I'm coming from and the realm of my experience. I'm also on this journey with you. I'm a woman, a long-term partnership. I'm a mom. I'm running my own business. I'm entering the phase of perimenopause myself. I've had fertility challenges. So I've navigated a lot of the twists and turns of what it means to be living in a female body on this planet. I've had, a background where I did struggle with sexual pleasure and orgasm and, have taken the journey myself. And I think it's really important to have this embodied lived experience of what I'm teaching and supporting others in. So I want you to know I'm right here with you. Okay, so what the heck are we talking about with sexual wellness? We have such a sense of how to tend to our physical bodies, right? Like nutrition, physical activity, exercise, even our mental and emotional health, mindfulness, social well-being. Sexual wellness, I want you to start to consider your sexual wellness as a pillar of your health and your vitality. So sexuality, sexual energy is actually life force energy. It's actually creative energy. It really supports your vitality and your well-being. Now, we don't really live in a culture that's oriented like this, right? I have people ask me, hey, do you take insurance? Well, no, healthcare is not as progressive as the team here in TārāMD, right? We understand that sexuality is an integral part of your wellness journey. And that's why we're so excited to bring you sexual wellness services. So when we're talking about sexual wellness, we're talking about your sexual expression, which could be the act of sex, but it's actually about how you relate to your body, how you relate to your sexuality, how you express yourself both in and out of the bedroom. And I'm going to go deeper into this, but I just want you to start thinking about the same way we tend to different aspects of our wellness, our sexuality really needs tending to, especially because we don't live in a world culture that really feeds us nourishing, supportive, empowering stories around our sexuality, right? There's a lot of distortion around sexuality. There's a lot of unsafety. And so taking a sexual wellness journey is really about coming home to your body, your relationship to your body, your relationship to your sexuality, and of course, your your orgasmic pleasure. So tending to your sexual wellness involves tending to your body and your pleasure. And what this does is it activates your inner pharmacology. There is so much research to support how being in connection with your sexuality, with your orgasmic pleasure, with whether that's solo or with a partner, it actually supports your ongoing physical, emotional well-being and vitality. And of course, the bonus is when you tend to your sexual wellness, you have better orgasms and you cultivate a deeper connection both with yourself, your body, and your inner realm, and also with your partner or partners. So that's the landscape of what sexual wellness is, and some of the ways we see sexual unwellness in our bodies and in our expression in our culture is a lack of desire. There's a lot of normalization of lack of desire, especially for females, especially as we age. And I want to be the one to tell you, actually, there is nothing normal about that. Other than we live in a very distorted culture with a lack of understanding of actually what it means to be a sexual being, especially as you age. So lack of desire is a big one. Feeling disconnected from your body and sexuality, super common across ages. Why? Because it can be scary to be a sexual being in our world culture. We have created ways of protecting ourselves and our bodies. And a big piece of that is pure disconnection as a form of self-protection. Difficulty orgasming. This often has to do with, there's so many reasons women have difficulty orgasming, but a lot of times it has to do with control, surrender, feelings of safety. So having difficulty in orgasming, it's actually a blockage in the flow of your sexual energy, as is pain in your sexual expression and exploration. Pain, if you're having sex, is an indicator that your body is not being honored in some way. And even if you're in a place where you have a loving relationship, a loving partnership, if you're experiencing pain, there is some kind of dissociation that's happening between you and your body. This could be a result of like trauma in the past. It could be, there are infinite reasons why you can experience pain, but this is not normal. It's not normal to experience pain in your sexuality. Again, normal in that it is a very common response to an abnormal world, but it's not a sign of everything's okay. It's definitely a place that needs tending to within your own body and your relationship. Now, some people have no problem feeling pleasure on their own or orgasming on their own, but they get really shut down with a partner. So this is another spot where you can see starts to touch upon our expression in relation to other people. And then just having a sense of like meh in your body, low energy, you feel uninspired, you feel unmotivated. As I said, sexual energy is life force energy. It's creative energy. Sexual energy is the energy that has you wake up in the morning. It's the energy that has you dream, vision, create, as well as want to partner and create children. And in the later stages of our life, when our fertility wanes and our energy is all for us, it's all about your creativity. It's all about your vibrance, right? So if you're dissociated, disconnected from your sexual energy, you'll start to feel like a withering, a depletion. And tending to your sexual wellness is not only if you're experiencing a problem, right? You can actually tend to your sexual wellness because you're so curious about what's possible for you and your body. There are so many different ways to experience pleasure in your body. There's actually this ever deepening well of sexual energy, sexual orgasmic and ecstatic pleasure that's always flowing through your body. You can orgasm in your cervix, in your heart, throughout your body. There's just infinite realms of pleasure, potential, and possibility. So I don't want you to think, oh, okay, the only reason to take a sexual wellness journey is if something's wrong with me. This is, again, think about like a fitness journey, right? You take a fitness journey because you want to feel good, you want to feel vibrant, you want to feel healthy, but there's always more. Like you can always get stronger, you can explore new realms. And so that capacity is also available in a sexual wellness journey. as you heal the blocks between you and your fullest orgasmic expression, you're also healing the blocks between you and your truest expression. So this will become more apparent as I speak, but one of the things I want you to start thinking about, if your the flow of sexual energy is really about your expression, like your truest expression on the planet. So if you feel inhibited, if you feel shy, if you have images with your if you have challenges with your body image, that's going to affect how you show up in your sexual expression, but it's also going to affect how you show up when you walk into a room, when you're sharing your ideas and your thoughts. So this journey is really potent both in and out of the bedroom. I want to give you a sense of what do I mean by a sexual wellness journey. Again, I think it's really helpful to parallel it with like a health journey in nutrition or a health journey in fitness, right? So you can go to the gym once and run on the treadmill. And that's great and amazing. And that would be akin to doing a practice. So there's a level of like wellness, deliciousness, well-being, and vitality that you get from a practice. And I'm going to run you through a practice so you can get a sense of what I'm talking about. But if you do an entire session at the gym, let's say you include some cardio, you include some weightlifting, right? So a session is where I would sit with someone. And in that session, there's some talking about like, what is it that you want? What is it that you're experiencing? What is it that's challenging you? And there are general practices that are good for everybody, right? Like just like running on a treadmill is good for most people, or like doing some form of cardio is good for most people. So there's practices that are just good for everybody to get to know this deep connected place within yourself and to get to start to cultivate the pleasure that's available to you within your own body. But we're all unique individuals. We all have our unique challenges, our fears, our desires, right? And so when we work together one-on-one, it goes beyond the general practice. We start to pinpoint the places where you're specifically challenged, where you're holding blockages in your own body specific to your sexual expression. And then we tailor practices specific for you, right? So you can feel into sort of, you can go to the gym and do a general practice, but if you're working with a trainer, they can really help you strengthen the places that you need strengthening, unwind places where maybe you're not doing things right or holding tension. So a session includes talking, it includes practice, but it also includes really targeted, really pinpointed body awareness between you and your body and your spots and your desires. And then a journey is really a series of sessions over time. So you can go to one session with me as your sexual wellness coach, and you can get some clarity on an issue that you're having and a practice that you can start to work with. But ultimately, what really makes a profound difference is if you take the journey, because what's going to happen when you do one practice, it's going to uncover a whole other layer. And then there could be points of tension or points of resistance there. And so to come back and to have that continual support and to really commit to taking that journey for yourself, much in the same way that, going to the gym once is going to be helpful, seeing a nutritionist once is going to be helpful. But it's when you commit to that journey over time, really tending to a part of your body, that things start to truly blossom and bloom. And a lot of times with a sexual wellness journey, we're talking about a rewiring of a pattern that you've held maybe since you were young, maybe since you were a teen or a young adult, but often for years. It's a pattern that you've had for years. And so it really does take a journey over time to create a whole new pattern, a whole new expression. And then when it gets really fun is as you unravel, then that potential for even more opens up. So I have clients that I work with for just a handful of sessions, but I also have clients that I work with for years, because cultivating this part of your body and your being, it reverberates into every part of your life. And as I keep saying, it really is foundational to your vitality, especially as you age. All right, so some of the things that you'll experience while taking the journey. will expand your knowledge of your anatomy. Now, that might seem like, oh my gosh, didn't I get that years ago in health class? Didn't I get that from my parents? Haha, no, you didn't. There's a wonderful meme that's all over the internet that says something like, in the 1960s, we put a man on the moon. In the 1990s, we invented the internet. It wasn't until the early 2000s that, we discovered the full anatomy of the clitoris. And I will tell you, having teen daughters in high school, they are not teaching any of this, nowhere near it yet. So our children still aren't getting it. And just knowing your full anatomy, how it works together, how to honor it, what the design is, that in and of itself is so empowering and opens so many doorways. And a lot of places where, we might feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? When you start to really understand how the feminine design works, it can take a lot of that pressure off and you learn how to honor it. One really simple place is just understanding that the way that our turn on works is very different from men, right? Like I've heard male sexual energy is akin to lighting a match. Click, there it is. Female sexual energy is akin to boiling a pot of water, right? So that takes time. But once it starts boiling, it is warm for a long time. So just knowing like some of the differences in our bodies can make a really big shift in our perception of how we perceive ourselves and our expression. Safety and permission. These are really, really big. So many of us did not grow up with a deep sense of safety in our own bodies in relation to our sexuality. And also permission, right? Like we can think of all the derogatory terms that young girls are called if they are connected to their sexuality. So there we work a lot on one, you feeling really safe in your body to be able to feel, to be able to express, to be able to follow that flow of energy, to be able to surrender. Safety is a huge foundational piece that we work on when we take a sexual wellness journey together. And permission. A lot of times younger versions of ourselves will protect us by taking away that permission because it hasn't been safe, like I said, to be sexually expressive in our culture. So working on giving ourselves that permission, having good boundaries, being able to say yes and no, both with ourselves and our bodies and with our partners. This is really foundational to taking a sexual wellness journey. Now, body connection, that might seem obvious, but where do we keep our attention and energy 99.999% of the day, right? Right up here. Most of us are living here in our heads, and our bodies are this convenient thing to move our head from place to place as we do all the things that we need to do. So we're so used to living up here that we dissociate from our body. Simple example is, have you ever not eaten when you were hungry because you were too busy, or avoided going to the bathroom because you were in the middle of something, right? These are ways that we dissociate from our bodies. But one of the foundational pieces of taking a sexual wellness journey is coming back in deep connection to your body, the sensations, feeling. Your body has so much wisdom. And when you start to do practices that bring you into deeper and deeper connection with your body, it feels really good for one thing. It feels deeply nourishing for another thing, but also you start to gain access to realms of information, wisdom, your intuition, your inner guidance that maybe you had not been attuned to. And from this deep place of body connection, you start to open up feeling, you start to open up sensation, you start to become more and more aware of the sensation of pleasure. So the more connected you are to your body, the more you can feel pleasure, right? One of the most common complaints I get is it's so hard for me to get out of my head and to feel what's actually happening when I'm with my partner or even on my own, right? And that's because we are so disconnected from our bodies. Pleasure is foundational to your sexual wellness. Now, what have you been taught about pleasure growing up? Pleasure is the reward for a job well done. How many times have we heard that? Pleasure is the reward. Well, that is the biggest fallacy on the planet. Pleasure is an integral part of our biological design. So starting to really explore what that means, you don't just get pleasure as the reward. So you don't just get the climactic orgasm because, like you went on the journey. No, pleasure is part of what feeds our bodies, feeds our nervous systems, feeds our sexual wellness. Pleasure stimulates all of our internal pharmacology, right? Pleasure is reparative to our cells. And I'll go more into sort of the medical benefits of being more in connection with your pleasure, but really healing the rift between pleasure and ourselves and our perception of what pleasure is, and really bringing pleasure back as an integral part of our design to sustain us, to fuel us, to nourish us as we do the big things that we do in the world, in and out of the bedroom. And then, practice. So the sessions themselves are super powerful, super transformative. You're going to walk away feeling that rewiring. But again, you need to practice in order to really ground that, in order for your body to really become familiar with this new landscape, with this new place. So just again, like going to the gym or staying on a very nutritious diet over time, like it's the practice that will make a difference in taking the journey. So some other aspects, owning your sexuality. How many of us grew up feeling like our sexuality was actually not ours? Maybe it existed for our partners. Maybe we had to wait for our partners to give us the pleasure, or maybe our bodies existed for their pleasure, right? There's a lot of commoditization of the female body and female sexuality, but a big part of taking this journey is actually taking responsibility for your own sexuality. It's not your partner's job. It's not anybody else's job. It is your job to take care of yourself, to tend to your sexuality. This is your body and it belongs to you. And again, prioritizing pleasure, as I was just talking about, is a really, really big piece of it. And it's a commitment. It's a commitment to commit to your sexual wellness. And I will say it is a bold and radical move in this day and age to say, hey, like, I want this. I deserve this. I see actually the biggest commitments that come into sexual wellness are women that are at, I would say like 40 and up, when you get to the stage of, what, like, I get one life, I get one body, like, I deserve this. I want to have this. I will commit to this for myself. This is something that I want and I'm willing to commit to it. The benefit of getting older is you just stop caring so much about what other people think of you and start really having your own back in a really deeper and deeper way. And I want to encourage you all, whether you work with me or not, commit to your sexual wellness. You deserve it. You get one body in this lifetime, and tending to your body is a big part of that. Not dissociating, not, numbing, not acting in spite of whatever your body's trying to tell you, but being in relationship with your body, being in relationship with the messages of your body, the sensations of your body, almost treating your own body as you would desire a lover to treat you. So let's practice. Let's see what this is all about. So I'm going to guide you in a practice that's, this is a meditative practice. So you can start to kind of look at your space. You can do this seated, you can do it lying down. But what we're going to start with is a practice around something you desire. So I want you to think about something that you deeply desire in relation to your body and your sexuality, and just call that in. And when you have that, just go ahead, get yourself really comfortable, situated so that you can just kind of be surrendered, whether you're seated or lying down. I want you to close your eyes and just begin to turn your attention inwards. I invite you to take some nice, long, slow, luscious breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you inhale, I want you to feel that you're bringing your presence, your attention, and energy even more deeply into your body. And as you exhale, I want you to feel like you're letting go. You can exhale with a sigh or a moan. I want you to feel like with every exhale, you're just putting down your bags, anything that you've been carrying with you towards this moment, putting down your bags, letting go, surrendering. Let's do a few more rounds just like that, in through the nose, out through the mouth. We'll do 3 rounds and feel free to sigh or moan on that exhale. So go ahead, inhale. One more, make it a good one. Nice, long, slow, luscious breath. And after that third exhale, letting your breath return to its relaxed rhythm. And just noticing how your body's feeling here. No judgment, just noticing the sensations in your body. You can do a quick scan from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and just notice. Notice how you're feeling. And if you had to describe the sensations inside your body in a word or 2 or 3, just notice what words bubble up for you. Just noticing, no judgment, putting those words away. And now in your mind's eye, I want you to start to visualize that you have your desire, whatever that desire was that you honed in on at the beginning of this practice. I want you to start seeing in your mind's eye that you are living as if you already have it. So envisioning yourself in this place where your desire is yours. It is done. And we're going to explore your connection to this desire with all 5 of your senses. And this is one way we start to train the primal brain, which is really, really invested in safety, to feel safe with what it is that you're desiring, to let down any blocks or guards to protect you around it. So as you connect to your desire, as you start to feel that your desire is yours, you already have it, it's done. I want you to notice in your mind's eye what kind of things you see around you that let you know your desire is yours, it's real, you have it. Now, as you're tapping into your sense of sight, what you see might be directly related to your desire and it might not, and it doesn't actually matter. So don't worry about that. Just let yourself really be in deep connection to you living your life. You have your desire, and just notice what kind of things you see. Noticing, savoring with your sense of sight. And when you're ready, I want you to tap into your sense of hearing. In this place where you have your desire, where you're seeing all around you the manifestations of it, what kind of things do you hear that let you know your desire is yours? What do you hear in the space around you? Exploring with your sense of hearing, any sounds, any words. What do you hear when you have your desire? Lets you know it's real. Next, I want you to tune into your sense of touch. What kind of things do you feel with your sense of touch? In this place where your desire is yours, what do you notice with your sense of touch? Next, I'm going to invite you to tune into your sense of smell. As you revel in the things you see, hear, touch, noticing, what do you smell in this place where your desire is yours? What kind of scents do you notice? Again, they might make sense, they might not make sense. Don't worry too much about that. Just tap in here to your sense of smell. Noticing, what do you smell here where your desire is yours? What kind of scents do you notice? And last, I invite you to check in with your sense of taste. What do you notice with your sense of taste? Here, where your desires are already yours. What kind of things do you taste? Letting yourself revel in the tastes, your sense of taste, your sense of smell, your sense of touch, your sense of hearing, your vision. Really immersing yourself here in this place where your desire is yours with all 5 of your senses. Letting yourself savor and enjoy. And I invite you to tune into your body. What does it feel like in your body? What do you notice emotionally? What do you notice on a sensation level here, where you're in deep connection with your desire? What are you noticing in your body? Tuning into the sensations, exploring, and letting yourself notice here, if you were to describe how your body's feeling in a word or 2 or 3, noticing what words you would choose. Noticing any contrast, perhaps from when you began. And taking a few more moments to just really revel here. Let your body get to know this place where your desire is already yours. Let your body get to know what it feels like here on a sensation level. When you feel ready in your own time, you can start to rub your fingertips together, letting yourself feel the sensation of your hands. You can rub your hands together. You can put your hands on your body and just start giving yourself some loving touch in whatever way feels good to you. Letting your hands slowly awaken you back to this body, this place. And in your own time, slowly cracking open your eyes. So as you're slowly coming back, I'll share with you the perspective of what we did here. As I started to say, a lot of the blocks that we might have in relation to our desires are really just layers of our being trying to keep us safe, right? And to an extent, your current sexual expression, whatever that is, whether or not you like it, approve of it, or don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever your current sexual expression is, that is what has kept you safe. Because from a primal brain perspective, you're alive. So that is success, right? The fact that you're alive signals success, signals whatever you've been doing, just keep doing it. Anything different signals danger, right? So a practice like this starts to, especially when you're tuning into like your sense of smell, your sense of taste, which I know might be elusive when you're first starting out, but those are the most connected to your primal brain. So practice like this, when you tune in with all 5 of your senses, starts to signal to your primal brain, oh, okay, I know this place. It's familiar. It's safe. It's okay for me to go there. So this is one of the foundational practices. There's so many more, but I hope you got a glimpse of what it can feel like. I'm curious if you noticed how the practice shifted how you feel in your body. I'm curious, maybe you noticed feelings of well-being at the end of this practice, because our desires are actually meant, so desire is the seed of creation. So whether that's desire to have a baby, right, and procreate, desire is the seed of creation, but it could be desire to start a business. It could be desire to, create a work of art. It could be a desire to cultivate a relationship, right? So this place of letting your desire, the reality of it, become familiar is a really, really potent place. So now, to get a sense of how to expand that out, how we would work on with that in a session together, after we get to know this place, we start to explore, is there any part of your being that is actually showing resistance in the sensation of tension? And we will work then with your specific blocks to the desire that you're visioning. All right, so I think you're starting to get a sense, but let me just articulate it really concretely. The benefits of tending to your sexual wellness, to tending to your sexual energy, reverberate way beyond the bedroom. So I've talked about how it supports your hormonal health. Now, in your early years, it can actually be used to support your fertility, especially if you're looking to get pregnant, but also as you age and you go through perimenopause and beyond. There are so many sexual wellness practices that really support that transition, that can support with things like estrogen dominance or, hot flashes, things like that. Like, there are really simple practices that can make the transitions in those stages where your hormones are wildly fluctuating more smooth, more elegant, more pleasurable. So sexual wellness also really helps with confidence and body image because it's about expression, right? So having your sexual energy freely flow through you is about your ability to express yourself, ability to stand for your desires, to say what you want, to hold yourself in your own boundaries, to feel safe. And so that reverberates out into your confidence as you move through the world. When you really have that for yourself, that connection with your intuition, your inner truth, that deep intimacy with your own body, when you are able to hold your boundaries and express what you want, it really transforms how you move through a room. And also with body image. Come on, like, body image is a challenge women at all ages and stages face. But when you are on a sexual wellness journey, one of the side effects is you start to fall deeply, deeply in love with your body because it is magical. It is a magical place to tend to your energy, to your pleasure. And from that place comes a whole lot of creativity. Remember, sexual energy is creative energy. And foundational, it really supports your mental and emotional well-being. So an example of this, if you're experiencing a lack of desire, a lot of times a lack of desire can also be traced back to nervous system deregulation. You're constantly stressed. You're constantly in your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. And so if you're in this deregulated state and you're constantly stressed, well, your body's not going to, on a biological level, is not going to want to procreate. It's not going to want to have a baby. It's not going to want to be creative because you're in a survival mode, right? So one of the practices that we do to start to cultivate better regulation is we work with your breath. So some of our foundational practices are visualization, as you just experienced, but also breath, sound, movement. Breath is foundational for toning the vagus nerve, which regulates your nervous system, which helps you connect to your parasympathetic. Now, the vagus nerve, being in what they call coherence, also supports your mental and emotional well-being. When it's in a state of incoherence, that's when you see things like depression and anxiety. So a sexual wellness practice that involves breath work actually starts to cultivate like a deeper sense of well-being, not just in your sexuality and your vitality, but also your mental and emotional well-being as well. I want to give you some more of the benefits of women's health. Like I keep saying, it supports hormonal balance. Fun fact, if you have a new partner, it has been documented in research that when you're with a new partner, you get an entire hormonal system reboot. So any kind of hormonal imbalances that you've had in the past start to kind of correct themselves. Why is that? When you're with a new partner, there is like an expansiveness of your connection to your sexual energy. Now, I'm not advising all of you to just run off and get new partners. It is definitely possible to cultivate that within a long-term relationship too, but it's just interesting to note that in that stage of a relationship where there's so much fire, there's so much chemistry, there's so much sexual energy, it has been well documented to support your hormonal balance. And doing these practices regardless on a regular basis supports your hormonal balance. It clears brain fog. Like have a full body orgasm and then tell me you have brain fog. It doesn't happen. Having that full body orgasmic flow, and again, practices like breath work, which are foundational to sexual wellness, which help us open our energetic channels to have full body orgasms, also clear brain fog in less than 2 minutes. So if you're in that stage of life where it's like, oh my God, whether you're pregnant, whether you're perimenopausal or brain fog is an issue, tending to your sexual wellness can really support that. Tones our vaginal tissues, right? I mean, talk about like, is incontinence normal? Well, I think it's something like over 60% of women will experience some form of incontinence. I think it's even higher than that. It might be like 66%. A tremendous amount of women will experience incontinence at some point in their lives. And there's also this perception that like, oh, as you age, your tissues atrophy. Doesn't have to be that way, right? If you're tending to your sexual wellness, you're actually going to be not just toning your vaginal tissues, you're going to be creating more dexterity, which creates better sensation, which creates better orgasms. But yes, you will also have better tone, and you can reverse any incontinence or prevent any future incontinence by tending to your sexual wellness. Stimulates flow, blood flow, energy flow, oxygen flow, flow on all these different levels. Stagnation, they say, is the root of all disease. So tending to your sexual wellness, we do all of these practices around like the sexual energy that's cultivated in your organs. How do you move them through your whole body, right? You can have a climax right in your pelvis, and that can be delicious and wonderful and powerful, but a climax that travels through your whole body, nourishes all of your cells, stimulates flow. I already touched on how it awakens intuition because you're so deeply connected to your body and the sensations within. It's reparative to cells, right? It stimulates oxytocin flow. Oxytocin actually repairs cells. So it helps as you're aging to keep your cells vibrant, healthy. It tones the vagus nerve. I talked about that by creating coherence through your nervous system. It's also deeply healing. There is so much now coming out about the value of psychedelics and healing trauma, PTSD, all kinds of, patterns in our past, so that we can be more ourselves, so that we can be more expressive. Well, let me tell you, as a female, you have access to that internal DMT through your connection to your cervix. So your sexuality, and specifically your connection to your cervix, your cervical orgasm, the vagus nerve starts there, runs through your body, and comes into your pineal gland where your internal DMT is stored. So you access that internal DMT, 1, in childbirth, 2, during sex, and 3, at death. So for females specifically, men don't have this. Men get this through their connection to us and their sexuality. But for females specifically, your sexual wellness is a powerful psychedelic in and of its own right. And finally, stimulates collagen production. Yeah, you can take your collagen powder and put it in your coffee. You can get injections, but you can also have orgasms to stimulate your collagen production. So fun, don't you think? All right, beautiful people. So we have come to the end of this chapter. I want to talk to you a little bit about how, if you're ready to take the journey, if you have any questions about where you're at, what you desire, what does the journey look like? Is it right for me? You're welcome to email me. This is my email address, Sheila@ecstatic-birth.com. But for booking, you're going to go directly to TārāMD. This is their phone number and their email address. I have packages beginning at $1,500. I believe that's for 5 sessions. And then as you do larger packages, you get more sessions. So if you're wanting to just book 1 session, you're more than welcome to do that to see if we're a good fit to work together. But there's definitely financial benefit to booking a journey. And as I've shared with you, a journey is really the most potent pathway for your sexual wellness. So if that resonates with you, it would be my tremendous honor to support you. This is my passion. This is my life's work. I believe that our sexuality is the most core, sacred part of our being. And I really desire for all of you to have access to that relationship within yourself. So please do reach out, and I look forward to supporting you on your sexual wellness journey.